Recently I got some pens from someone. They belong to her father who passed away, and these pens have been in a desk drawer for years, literally years. So they weren't all in great condition. Some needed some restoration. Others needed some significant restoration. Today I'm going to talk about the first pen in the series that I got, and that actually worked. Very cheap. I couldn't find a brand. I say very cheap because I have the impression that this was a pretty cheap pen. It weighs 10 grams. This is going to be a very short, bit of talk because there isn't a whole lot to cover. The cap is plastic, covered with, I guess, chrome or something, chrome plating. The clip is interesting, has some nice spring to it. You can see that the chrome has actually started to flake off in some bits. Very light, so this probably was a cheap pen. The barrel and a section are plastic. The barrel is plastic. The section is plastic. Has some texture to it. You can see that a little bit there. It's not in focus, I know, but still. The nib looks a little bit like lamy. It's sort of angular, but it's not lamy. I couldn't find a brand name anywhere. The nib was a bit scratchy. Smoothed it out a bit. Was very dry. I tried to put a brass shim in there to open up the nib tines a little bit, but the nib tines are lined so tightly I couldn't get anything in between there. Pen takes a not a converter, a cartridge. There was a cartridge in there which was completely dried out, of course, after all these years. I put this in. Well, it writes, and that's pretty much all I can say about this pen. I can't tell you anything about it because I don't know the brand. I don't know anything. I don't think the owner paid a whole lot for this. This looks like a pretty cheap pen. I'm thinking from China, was produced cheaply. Does it have any redeeming features? Well, someone used this, and I think that's very nice. It's been in a drawer for quite a while. I put a cartridge in, clean it a bit. It writes now. It's dry. It's not a fantastic pen, but it's just interesting to see, right? This thing obviously has history, and I like that. So that's all there's to it. It's a decent size. You won't get one of these because I don't know the brand. I don't know anything. You can post it. It's very light, and that's all there's to it. So I just do a writing sample just for fun, and that's all. So I hope this was maybe just a little entertaining. Sometimes these cheap pens can be an interesting find. That's all there's to it. So enjoy the writing sample, and I'll see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we have that strange brandless pen. Nib, well, would that be fine? It's very fine. Ink. I think I just put a cartridge in, didn't I? Yeah, some cartridge. Some cartridge. I really don't know. I got that with a pen. It's nothing fancy. As you can see, it's dry, right? It's already completely dry. The quick brown fox jumps. That wasn't even legible. Well, a touch of feedback would be a very kind description. I couldn't really call it scratchy because I don't feel any scratch, but there definitely is some feedback, and I'm afraid that with these upstrokes, oh yeah, well, you can hear that, right? Definitely feedback there. Now it actually stops writing. Quite dry. I already increased the... No, you know what was funny? I remember now, I tried to increase the space between the nib tines a little bit, but those are so tight, I could not get a brass shim between that. So maybe widen the feed channel a little bit. I'll have to do something, because this is fascinating, but it's pretty dry. See that here? It's already dry, you know. It's well, that's fascinating. Let's have a look at line variation. I'm expecting absolutely nothing here. No, it just stops writing. Go a little slower now. Come on. I have the strong suspicion that this was a fairly cheap pen, and that's all there's to it. It's a cheap pen. It's a cheap performer. It will get some writing done, right? I need carrots. I need a, what do you call that? Carton of milk. Carton of milk. I need a Mark IV thermonuclear device. I mean, that it'll work for a grocery list or something, but if you have to do a lot of writing, forget about this one. Nameless pens should sometimes remain nameless. I think that's best. So anyway, it's an interesting pen. It's not something I'm going to use a lot. But, you know, quick notes, it may get the job done. And that's all there is to it. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.